Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Friday, April the 23rd. We got a 7-game Friday night slate to break down. As always, guys, we're going to go team by team. We're going to go through each game on the slate and talk about each team. I'll give you guys my early thoughts, what does stand out to me looking at the slate on Thursday night, just what stands out to me the night before. So before we do get started with the breakdown, as always, I would appreciate it if you would hit that like button down below. If you are new to the channel here, be sure to click that subscribe button as well and click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also do get notified every time I live stream. Once again, I should be live Friday afternoon, probably around 5 o'clock Eastern time. Lock is 30 minutes later than normal, so I'll push the stream back about 30 minutes. We'll be live around 5 Eastern on my YouTube channel. If you guys do want to come and hang out in the stream, I can answer all your questions for tonight's slate. We can talk through everything once again. As always, if any news comes out during the day, we can hit on that, in the live stream. But yeah, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's slate. So starting off with the Miami and Atlanta game, this one definitely want to have a lot of interest in, mainly on the Atlanta side. But starting off with Miami here, the team's pretty much fully healthy. Obviously, Victor Oladipo is out, but I don't think that really impacts too much, at this point. And then Tyler Hero is questionable. If Tyler Hero were to sit, maybe that would give a little boost to Goran Dragic or a little boost to Kendrick Nunn. At their price points, though, I don't think either one would stand out as top options for me. They would definitely be viable, but overall, I don't see a ton I really like from Miami. Like Jimmy at 9,700 kind of feels priced appropriately today. There's other guys I think I would rather pay up for. Bam Adebayo at 8,200. If I had to play somebody from Miami, it probably would be Bam Adebayo. 8,200, he can still easily give you a good score for this salary, whereas Jimmy's going to need to put up close to 60 to be really good at his salary, whereas Bam, if he gets you around 50, he'll be a pretty good play, and he's obviously been able to do that. He's put up 49 and 48 DK points over his last 2 games. This matchup against Atlanta isn't one that's as good as you would think. Atlanta has been playing slower this year, but still, I definitely have some interest in Bam Adebayo. Overall, though, this Miami team is not that appealing for me. Just not a team I have that much interest in, at least not right now. But on the Atlanta side, this is where a lot of my interest is coming from in this game. We already know that Trae Young is going to be out for today. He's going to be out for, I believe, a couple of games with an ankle injury. So Trae Young is out. Clint Capella is questionable. Danilo Gallinari is questionable. And then DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish, they both remain out. So obviously the big news here, though, is Trae Young is out. We'll just go ahead and talk about the guy that I think benefits most with Trae Young out, the play that I like the most, and that is definitely Brandon Goodwin. Brandon Goodwin, I assume, will start in place of Trae Young. He's super cheap on both sides. He's $3,400 on DK. On Yahoo, he's coming in at minimum salary over there, $10, $10 on Yahoo. I think Brandon Goodwin, definitely the best value play right now. We've seen, in these spot starts, whenever he does make a spot start for Trae Young, he normally plays pretty well. This game against Toronto, he started for Trae Young, played 37 minutes, had 32 DK points. The game before that, Trae Young was also out, played 37 minutes, had 35 DK points. I'm expecting Brandon Goodwin to start, probably play 30-plus minutes, 3,400. He's a relatively productive player when he gets minutes. He's really hard to get away from today. I think Brandon Goodwin is one of the clear plays of the day, definitely one of the best value plays, assuming that he does start for Trae Young. Clint Capella, though, if he plays, I have some interest in at 8,800. Now that John Collins is back, that lowers my interest in Capella a little bit, but he's still been able to put up pretty big games with Collins back, had 61 DK points last game against the Knicks, had 66 against the Pacers. Like, Capella's just going out there and, stuffing the stat sheet. Obviously, he's a guy that can score and can rebound, gives you that 20-20 upside. He can block shots as well. For 8,800, I don't know if he really stands out as like an optimal play. I don't think he's really going to pop in projections or anything, but Clint Capella is definitely someone I'm considering paying up for if he plays today. That's obviously news we'll have to keep an eye on. But if Clint Capella gets ruled out, I really like John Collins at 6,800. Now, John Collins has come back from an injury. He's played 3 games since coming back, and he's played 21, 25, and 28 minutes. Collins hasn't really been that good in these games, but if Clint Capella were to get ruled out, that would definitely boost my interest in John Collins. I think with Trae Young out, that's a little boost for Collins. I don't know if that's enough of a boost to where I want to play him, but if Clint Capella gets ruled out as well, John Collins becomes probably my second favorite play from this Atlanta team. He is someone that I'll have a lot of interest in if Capella's out. Bogdan at 7,800 obviously gets a big boost with Trae Young out, but at his price point on DK, he doesn't really stand out as a top play to me. If he was cheaper, I'd have more interest. Like if he was like 7K, I think he'd be a lot more viable. But at 7,800, he does feel priced appropriately, if not a little bit too expensive. On Yahoo, though, Bogdan looks a lot better over there. $25 at shooting guard. Stands out as one of the best shooting guard plays to me on Yahoo. Obviously, without Trae, he gets a big boost. We've seen him have really good games in the past when Trae has been out. I'm pretty sure these two games against Toronto and Charlotte, Trae was out those games. Bogdan played 41 and 40 minutes, had 48 and 39 DK points. Obviously, if he gives you 39 DK points today, that's not great for 7,800. But on Yahoo, if he gives me 35, 40 fantasy points, that's pretty good for his salary on Yahoo. So Bogdan, more of a Yahoo play for me. And then Kevin Huerter, I like a lot on Yahoo too. At 5,800 on DK, he's another guy that kind of feels priced appropriately, but he's super cheap on Yahoo. He's been underpriced over on Yahoo for a while now. Only $15 at small forward. If I'm looking for a cheap small forward, I think Kevin Huerter is definitely someone I'm going to be looking to. We know he's going to be in the starting lineup and going to play a ton of minutes. And obviously, without Trae Young, Kevin Huerter also gets a little bit of a bump. He's been really good lately. He's been playing, big minutes. He's been pretty productive as well. He's put up at least 28 fantasy points in 4 straight games. I mean, you look at the game log. I know game log doesn't mean everything, but you've gotten literally on Yahoo, talking about Yahoo scoring, you've got 20 fantasy points or more from Kevin Huerter in it's been 13, 14 straight games. I mean, he's just been so consistent. His upside is obviously a lot higher with Trae Young off the floor. He gets a little bit more usage, just going to have the ball in his hands more. At $15, he's a guy that I like a lot on Yahoo. Not as interested in him on DK, though, at 5,800. But the guy that I want to talk about on DK that I do like quite a bit is Lou Williams. So Lou Williams is 4,300. Now, with Trae Young out, I think that definitely gives a boost to Lou Williams, obviously. We haven't really seen Lou Williams play massive minutes. The 2 games that Trae Young was out recently against Charlotte and Toronto, Lou Will played 29 and 25 minutes in those 2 games, had 21 and 16 DK points. They do seem pretty content on giving Brandon Goodwin big minutes whenever Trae's out, but I do still expect we get probably mid-20s, if not high 20s minutes from Lou Will off the bench. Lou Will might be a bit risky just because, obviously, when you get a guy that's only going to play about 24 minutes, they really need to be productive in their time on the floor. But Lou Will is someone that can go out there and can just score. If he gets hot, we know he's just going to continue to shoot. I'm willing to take a shot on him on DK at 4,300. He's super cheap. I think he does stand out as a pretty decent value play. He might be a bit risky, but I'm willing to take that risk, when he's this cheap. If he was like 5K today, I probably wouldn't be as interested, but 4,300, I do like Lou Williams quite a bit as a value guard. But that really does it for this Atlanta team. There's a lot to like here with Trae Young out. If Clint Capella gets ruled out too, there's going to be even more to like from Atlanta. But right now, Brandon Goodwin, I think, is the clear play from this Atlanta team just in terms of value. I do like Lou Will as more of a riskier value. Bogdan, Kevin Huerter, I like quite a bit on Yahoo. And then John Collins, I have a lot of interest in if Clint Capella gets ruled out. But we can go ahead and move on to the next game now, Boston and Brooklyn. So on Boston today, this is a tough team to break down right now because this is a back-to-back for the Celtics. Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, they all played on Thursday in the front end of their back-to-back. Jaylen Brown, though, was out Thursday. We have no idea if Jaylen Brown's going to be in or out for today. I assume Jaylen Brown plays, but we'll just have to wait and see. Kemba Walker has been resting on basically every back-to-back this year. I don't think he's played on a single back-to-back this season. I may be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure he's rested on like every back-to-back. So I'm assuming that Kemba is going to be out. So with Kemba most likely out on the back-to-back, that's definitely going to give a boost to Jason Tatum. It's going to give a boost to Jaylen Brown. I do like both those guys quite a bit today. I think they're very solid options from this Boston team. I think you could also look to Marcus Smart, but at his price point, he doesn't stand out as much as the other 2 guys. So really Tatum and Brown are the 2 guys I'm looking to, assuming that Kemba sits. Now, if Jaylen Brown sits as well, then I really like Jason Tatum. He would definitely become one of my favorite pay-up options if Jaylen Brown is out as well. And then Marcus Smart would be a better option too if Jaylen Brown sits. And then we can maybe look to some of these value guys if Jaylen Brown gets ruled out. I'm probably not going to these guys if Brown plays, but if Brown gets ruled out, we could look to someone like Peyton Pritchard, maybe like a Semi Ojeleye. We'd have to wait and see what the starting lineup is. But this Boston team for now, just to wait and see. We got to wait and see who's going to be in or out. I'm assuming that Kemba sits and that Jaylen Brown plays, but we'll just have to wait and see. So moving on to the Brooklyn side, talking about the Nets here. Another team that's tough to break down right now until we kind of know if Kevin Durant's going to play or not. Kevin Durant's currently questionable. If he plays, I don't have a ton of interest in him. I don't have a ton of interest in Kyrie either. I think at their price points, neither one really stand out as top options for me. KD at 9K, I'd probably be more likely to play. But, he's been dealing with injuries lately. It's tough to tell how many minutes he's going to play if he does wind up playing. But then in the most recent game that he did play against Charlotte, he played 30 minutes, had 48 DK points. If you tell me we're getting full minutes from Kevin Durant, he's definitely viable at 9K. There's still probably some other guys I'm going to prefer over him, but I'd have some interest in Durant. Kyrie at 10-1, I'm probably only going to go to Kyrie if Kevin Durant's out. If Kevin Durant plays, I really don't want to pay that hefty price tag for Kyrie. But, I don't really like much else from this Brooklyn team. The bigs, We'll have to wait and see who starts at center. They've been doing a lot of different stuff with the center rotation lately. DeAndre Jordan is only 3,900. If he starts at center, I do like him as a center value play. Last game he started, he played 29 minutes against Toronto. He did have 26 DK points. It's tough to tell how many minutes he's going to play if he comes off the bench, but if he's in the starting lineup, I assume we get about 25, 30 minutes from him. So you could definitely go to DeAndre Jordan if he does wind up starting, but that probably does it for this Brooklyn team for me. Harris, Brown, I'm not as interested in at their price points. I know Bruce Brown's played really well off the bench lately, but at 5,500, he kind of feels priced appropriately now. If Kevin Durant plays as well, that completely takes me off of Bruce Brown. I guess he'd still be viable if KD's out, but I still wouldn't have that much interest in him. So we can go ahead and move on to the next game, Cleveland and Charlotte. So looking at the Cavs here, not much stands out from the Cavs today. Everyone on this team, I haven't really been playing any Cavs lately. I don't think I'm going to play any Cavs today. Everyone just feels priced appropriately. No one from this Cavs team ever really stands out to me. Like Sexton, I haven't played Colin Sexton in I don't know how long. I just really, this is someone I never play. I know he's had some good games this year. I know he's a guy that has upside. But on this slate, I think there's some other guards I'm going to prefer over Colin Sexton. Same with Jared Allen. There's just other centers I prefer over Jared Allen. Same with Garland. I prefer other guards over Garland. Kevin Love at 6,500, you can maybe go to. His minutes have kind of been all over the place, but if he does play 25 to 30 minutes, you could get, a good game from Kevin Love in 30 minutes in a pretty good matchup against Charlotte. He did have a really good game in only 26 minutes against them when they played earlier this year. But yeah, I don't really see any standout plays from Cleveland, just guys that I would be using in tournaments as lower-owned options. Right now, this is not a team I have much interest in, so we can go ahead and move on to the Charlotte side. With the Hornets here, there really isn't much that stands out from Charlotte either. Terry Rozier at 8,700, Miles Bridges at 8K. I don't want to pay those price points for, those guys. Both of them feel overpriced on DraftKings. Miles Bridges, though, I do have some interest in on Yahoo just because he continues to be too cheap over there. $22 at shooting or at small forward. I think Miles Bridges looks like a really good option on Yahoo at small forward, but I don't want to pay 8K for him on DK. Devontae Graham at 6,500, I don't really want to go to. PJ Washington, it was super weird. They did not start PJ Washington Thursday. They started Vernon Carey again. So if PJ Washington keeps coming off the bench, it's just going to be tough to predict how many minutes he plays. He didn't play well Thursday night, which was super tilting. He had a pretty bad game. If he comes off the bench again, it's tough to pay 6,300 for PJ Washington coming off the bench. So really, I don't like much from Charlotte either. Overall, this is not a team I have much interest in. My favorite play from this team is definitely, Bridges on Yahoo, but on DK, I'm not paying 8K for Miles Bridges. He's really just a Yahoo play for me. So that probably does it for the Charlotte side. We can go ahead and move on to the next game, talk about the Clippers and the Rockets. So on the Clippers today, we do know that Kawhi Leonard is going to remain out for the Clippers. So obviously, a guy like Paul George does look pretty appealing today. Paul George did rest their last game, but he should be back for today, should be back to playing his full allotment of minutes. This matchup against Houston is pretty good. Houston does play at a relatively fast pace. My only concern is that, this game does have some blowout potential right now. Even without Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers are still favored by 11.5 here. But even if they do blow out the Rockets, it's probably going to be because PG is having a massive game. PG has just been so good these last few games without Kawhi, playing a ton of minutes, getting a ton of usage, taking 25, 30 shots a game. You just look at the game log. He's got at least 56 DK points in 3 of their last 4 games. 9,300. PG still feels very affordable. He should definitely, he's too cheap still. He should be upwards of 10K, when Kawhi is out. I still do like Paul George a lot today at 9,300 on DK. And I like him a lot on Yahoo as well. It's $41 at shooting guard. Right now, he's probably one of my favorite pay-up options. I'm going to like some of those Boston guys too, depending on who's in or out. But for now, I think PG is the guy that really stands out to pay up for. And he's definitely my favorite play from this Clippers team. But outside of PG, I don't see too much else I really like from the Clippers. Marcus Morris kind of feels priced appropriately. Same with Reggie Jackson. Ivica Zubac, I don't mind at 5,400. His minutes have kind of been all over the place. He did play 33 last game, though. I have no idea if that happens again. You would think they would need his size to match up with Christian Wood. If we do get around 30 minutes from Ivica Zubac, he does have the upside to pay off a $5,400 salary. He's a really good point-per-minute player. I don't mind him. He's probably my second favorite play from the Clippers. Luke Kennard, he obviously had a really good game last game, but now that Paul George is back, I don't want to pay $5,200 for Luke Kennard. I don't want to pay $5,100 for Terrence Mann now that Jackson and Rondo are back. Or Rondo's questionable, but with Reggie Jackson back, I don't really want to go to Terrence Mann. So for me, the guy that really stands out from the Clippers is Paul George. He's a guy that I like the most here. But on the Houston side, looking at the Rockets, I don't see a ton that really stands out from the Rockets. Kevin Porter Jr. is going to be out for a couple of games, I believe, with COVID protocols. So, that gives a little bit of a bump to John Wall. John Wall did not have a good game last game against Utah, but, he got limited due to the blowout. He's been limited to blowout 3 straight games. That's obviously a concern when it comes to a guy like John Wall, not nearly because of him, just because of how bad this Rockets team is. This Rockets team is going to be a team that gets blown out a lot. But if we do get full minutes from John Wall, like he has the upside to pay off 7,500. I think I'd rather play a guy like John Wall over some of those Cleveland guards. Like we mentioned, I'd rather play John Wall over the Charlotte guards. So I do have some interest in John Wall at 7,500. I think stacking him with Paul George makes some sense. Just hoping the game stays close. If it does, you could get massive gains from both of those two guys. So I do like John Wall in tournaments. Christian Wood at his price point is okay. I don't really think he's like a top option though. Kelly Olynyk, I don't really like that much at his price tag. We do need to talk about some value, though, we can maybe have from Houston. So right now they do have a lot of guys questionable. Eric Gordon is questionable. So they said he will remain sidelined for their next 3 games. We don't know if he's going to play yet. They said that a week ago. So Eric Gordon could be back for today. We don't know yet. Daniel House, he's probable. So Daniel House is expected to make his return. That definitely takes me off of Kelly Olynyk then if House is going to be playing. And then Sterling Brown, he is currently... he had something happen with the altercation. He's recovering from that. We don't know if he's going to play. But last game, I do want to talk about Armani Brooks because he did start in place of Kevin Porter. He did play 35 minutes, had 26 DK points. It seems like he's going to be blowout proof, which is pretty good. Even if Houston goes out there and gets blown out, Armani Brooks is still going to play even in a blowout. So I do feel pretty good about him as a value if he does start again. Now we'll have to wait and see. If Eric Gordon plays, if Sterling Brown plays, if those guys play. Obviously, I have no interest in Brooks, but if those guys are out again and Armani Brooks starts, Armani Brooks actually a decent value for sure at 3,600. And again, if it blows out, he'll still be out there in a blowout. Even in their blowout last game, he did play 35 minutes, which is pretty good to see. He's obviously not nearly as risky as a guy like John Wall, who will get pulled if the game does blow out. But that does it for this game. We can go ahead and move on to the next one, Washington and OKC. So on Washington, for me, I think here it's really just the top 2 guys, Westbrook and Beal. Beal I don't like as much at his price point, but Westbrook, I've said it for the last 7 days, 8 days. I mean, basically every slate that Westbrook is on, he's going to be a top pay-up option for me. The dude literally scored 14 points last game and still had 60 DraftKings points. Like, he's just doing so much with the peripherals. He's literally putting up a triple-double almost every night. Has scored more than 50, he scored at least 50 DK points in 10 straight games. He's got at least 60 DK points in seven of the last 10 games. Westbrook has at least 60. I mean, his floor is just so high right now. The ceiling is always there. Westbrook is going to continue to be one of the best stud options to pay up for every slate. I think that's no different today. Right now, if there's any guy that I could pay up for above 10K, it would be Russell Westbrook. If I can find a way to play Westbrook and PG together, I think that's definitely a way I'm going to try and go on this slate. So I do have a lot of interest in Russell Westbrook for sure. He's definitely my favorite pay-up option right now, outside of PG, obviously. And then Bradley Beal, not as interested in it at 9,600. I don't know if I'm going to go to him at his price point. Without Denny Avia, Bertans maybe benefits for 4,300, but do I want to really play Bertans? Not really, but he should play around 30 minutes. Denny Avia done for the season, so I'm assuming that Bertans will start here. We'll have to wait and see, but if we do get 30 minutes from Bertans, I guess he's a decent value play. He's someone you could go to. I don't think there's much else, though, that I like from Washington. It's really just Westbrook, Bertans, and I guess Bradley Beal. But Westbrook's the guy that really stands out. I think at 11K, Westbrook definitely looks like one of the best pay-up options with Paul George. Right now, you could probably fit him in. We'll have to wait and see, though, what value opens up. Obviously, I don't make lineups this early. These are just my early thoughts. These are 5 guys that I like the night before. Things will change during the day. We can obviously talk more about the slate in the live stream Friday afternoon. But, yeah, that does it for the Wizards side. Now, moving on to OKC here. I don't see too much that I really like from OKC. Lou Dort is currently questionable. Even if Lou Dort plays, it's 6,800. It's tough to pay that price tag for him. I know he's been really good lately. He obviously gets a nice bump without SGA and without, Al Horford. I don't know if I'm going to go to Lou Dort, though, on this slate with so many other options. There's just too many other guards I think I would rather play over him. But the matchup is really good against the Wizards. It wouldn't be surprising if Lou Dort had another 40-plus point game. But me personally, I don't think I'm going to play Lou Dort today. Darius Bazley at 6,400 you could look to. These teams did just play a couple days ago. Darius Bazley did have 39 DK points in 38 minutes against the Wizards. He's been playing really well over their last few games. He continues to get big minutes, so I guess Bazley's someone you could look to. Does he stand out at his price point? I don't think so, but he kind of falls into that category of someone I'm fine using as a last man in. I'm fine using him as a low-owned tournament piece. I don't know if there's any standout plays from this OKC team, but guys like Baisley, Dort, you could definitely go to in tournaments. But that probably does it for this OKC team. I don't have a ton of interest in really anyone else. If Lou Dort's out again, Svi Mykhailiuk did start last game, and he actually had a really good game. Played 36 minutes, had 39 DK points. If Lou Dort's out again and Svi does start at 3,800, I do have some interest in Svi as a value, but that's obviously news that we're just going to have to wait and see on. Tough to really talk about that now, not knowing the status of Lou Dort. So yeah, that does for the OKC side. We can go ahead and move on to the next game and talk about Denver and Golden State. So on Denver here, for me, I think when it comes to this Denver team, it's really just Jokic. Michael Porter at his price point, I don't have that much interest in. Tough to really pay $7,700 for Michael Porter. He's going to need to put up close to 50 DK points to be a guy that you kind of have to have at this price tag, and just really do you see those type of games from Michael Porter. He kind of feels a little bit overpriced right now. Will Barton at 5,500 you could look to. He had that big ceiling game against Memphis, came back down to earth the next game against Portland. But we know without Jamal Murray, he's going to get a little bit of a bump. The minutes are going to be there for Will Barton as long as the game stays close. If you want to go to him, I don't mind him at 5,500. Aaron Gordon, just been so up and down. Tough to really tell what we're getting from Aaron Gordon on a nightly basis. He's tough to roster at this point, even at 5,300. And like Campazzo at his price tag, I don't really want to go to. They have Austin Rivers now they can give minutes to. With Jamal Murray out, the guard minutes are going to be split between Rivers and Campazzo and Dozier. So really the standout play from Denver is definitely Nikola Jokic. Now, right now I think I do give the edge to Westbrook over Jokic. Jokic burned me last slate. He was in my main lineup. That last slate, obviously, very disappointing. Only had 44 DK points in 36 minutes. One of the worst games we've seen from Jokic in a while. He was playing so good. Then, obviously the time, finally when I play Jokic, I haven't played Jokic much at all lately. I finally play him last slate, and then he puts up 44 DK points. But in a bounce back spot here against Golden State, you could definitely go to Jokic today. The dude's very similar to Russell Westbrook, just gives you such a high floor. We've got that triple-double upside. I prefer Westbrook, I think, but Jokic is probably another stud you could look to. I don't know if you'll be able to fit multiple studs in today. It depends on what value opens up as the day goes on. But if I can get, Jokic, PG, Westbrook in one lineup, I'll try and do that. It depends on what value opens up. Right now, you probably couldn't do that, but if some value opens up as the day goes on, Jokic will definitely be someone I'll look to pay up for. But I do prefer PG and I do prefer Westbrook right now. Moving on to the Golden State side, though, talking about the Warriors here. So Steph Curry, you have at 10,300. Curry finally, I don't want to say the regression hit, but he finally kind of came back down to earth last game against the Wizards. Only had 38 DK points in 36 minutes. Curry was going through a stretch where he was just scoring at will, just putting up massive games every night. Normally Curry is not someone I really pay up for. I always prefer guys like Westbrook, Jokic over Steph Curry just because those guys can triple-double, whereas Curry, a lot more scoring dependent. Last game he shot terribly and obviously had a terrible game, only 38 DK points. Westbrook, though, we saw last game, had 14 points and still put up 60-plus DK points because Westbrook can go out there and get 15 assists, 20 rebounds, whereas Steph Curry is never going to do that. So I prefer those guys over Curry today. I don't really see myself paying up for Curry on this slate at his price point. Draymond Green is definitely my favorite play from this Golden State team. It seems like Draymond's always the guy that I like most from Golden State. I know he's been bad lately, but we know the upside that Draymond Green has. He's someone that can put up a triple-double every night. The price tag just continues to drop on him. In close games, we're going to get 36, 38 minutes from Draymond. So if you want to go to him, he's probably my favorite play from this Golden State team. I don't see a ton of options I really like from the Warriors, but I think Draymond's in play for sure at 6,900. Kent Bazemore had a really good game last game, but I'm not going to chase that. With Kelly Oubre back, the minutes are just going to fluctuate from night to night. Kent Bazemore could play 15 minutes tonight, and I would not be surprised. With Wiggins healthy, with Oubre healthy, with Curry healthy, it's just tough to tell what you're going to get from Kent Bazemore. Obviously, 52 DK points is definitely an outlier. I'll let other people chase that. I really have no interest in Kent Bazemore today. Like I said, if I had to play anyone on Golden State, it would definitely be Draymond Green. But I think that does it for the Golden State side. We can go ahead and move on to the last game of the night, Memphis and Portland. So talking about this one here, looking at Memphis, we do know that Jonas Valanciunas is once again going to be out for the Grizzlies. So with J-Val out, we've seen Xavier Tillman start in place of J-Val, I believe their last two games. He's played 41 minutes. Obviously, the Denver game, that one went to double overtime. But last game against the Clippers, he started, played 28 minutes, had 30 DK points. The guy's been really productive on a point-per-minute basis. Even with Jaren Jackson Jr. back and playing last game, we still got close to 30 minutes from Xavier Tillman. I expect the minutes for Jaren Jackson Jr. to slowly increase as he gets more playing time. In his first game back, his season debut, he played 18 minutes, My best guess is he probably plays a few more today. He probably plays like 20 to 22. So do we get 28 minutes from Xavier Tillman? Maybe not, but I think we still get probably 25, 26. Tillman's a point per minute player. He's a productive player when he does get the minutes. He's still pretty cheap on both sides. It sucks that he's center only now on DK, but I still think Xavier Tillman does look like a really good value play today. He's someone that I'll for sure be looking to on both sides because he's also cheap on Yahoo, only $14. If you're paying down at center, I think Tillman once again looks like one of the better values at the center position. Jaren Jackson Jr., though, did have a really good game in only 18 minutes. He had 33 DK points, 15 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 blocks, which is kind of crazy. No way I'm paying $7K for Jaren Jackson Jr. on DK. He's more affordable on Yahoo, though, $19. If we can get like 23 minutes from Jaren Jackson Jr. today, I could see going to him on Yahoo. I don't know if I'm going to be playing him personally, but he's worth a shot, I guess, there just because he's cheaper. But I'm not paying $7K for Jaren Jackson Jr. when he's going to be on a minutes limit for what feels like at least a few more games. But John Morant you have at $7,200. I do have some interest in a guy like John Morant today. The matchup here against Portland's definitely good. Choosing between a guy like John Morant or John Wall, it's close between those two. John Wall's someone that has actually done well for me this year, whereas John Morant, it seems like anytime I play John Morant, he always sucks. But I definitely have interest in Morant here. I think he does get a little boost with J-Val out, and we've kind of seen that over his last 2 games. He's been playing a little bit better. At $7,200, there's a lot of guards that I like today, but I think John Morant definitely can go into the mix of guard plays that, I have interest in. But I don't see too much else from Memphis that I really like. I think my main interests here are definitely Xavier Tillman and John Morant. And I guess if you want to take a shot on Jaren Jackson Jr. on Yahoo, where he's a little bit cheaper, you could go to him there just because if he does get like 22, 24 minutes, he could definitely pay off that $19 salary on Yahoo. But Dylan Brooks, Grayson Allen, DeAnthony Melton, I don't think I'm going to these guys today. So moving on to the Portland side, talking about the Blazers here real quick before we do end the video. The Blazers are basically fully healthy for today. They have Lillard back. They have Nurkic back. So I don't see a ton that really stands out from Portland. Like McCollum and Powell were both priced up for when Lillard was out, so I don't want to pay those price tags for them now that Lillard's back. Kanter with Nurkic playing, I have no interest in. Nurkic himself, I think, actually could be viable. He did get 29 minutes last game. It finally seems like he's going to start playing around 30 minutes. If we do get around 30 minutes from Yusuf Nurkic, this is a guy that is obviously a really good point-per-minute player, has shown a ton of upside in the past. We know they're still going to give minutes to Enes Kanter, but if we're going to get like 28, 30 minutes from Yusuf Nurkic at $5,200, I think he actually looks like a really good option at this price point. Him and Xavier Tillman are definitely my 2 favorite plays overall in this game. Nurkic is the guy that I like most from Portland for sure. Lillard, though, I don't think I'm going to pay up for today. There's just too many other studs I prefer. And in my opinion, it's just the centers here. Tillman and Nurkic, the guys I like most in this late night game. So that does it for all 7 games on this slate, guys. I appreciate you watching the video as always. I hope you did enjoy. If you did enjoy, just hit that like button down below before you do get out of here. Be sure to click that subscribe button as well and click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also do get notified every time I live stream. Should be live Friday afternoon once again, guys, around 5 Eastern. If you do want to check my YouTube channel, then I'll be live breaking down the slate, answering all your guys' questions. Obviously would appreciate it if you guys would tune in. But best of luck tonight. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you did enjoy. Good luck, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.